we have to get comfortable with making money because it means we're doing more good work. And in the book, The Go-Giver, they talk about this, where the amount of money you make is going to be a function of the number of people that you help. So if you start making more money, you're just helping more people, right? And if you're making money, helping people, doing good for your community, there should be no guilt attached to it. In fact, you should feel guilty for not making money because you're not helping enough people, right? And when you make more money, what ends up happening is you can give more. We have a scholarship that we give out. We send 3 kids through school every year. We donate money into our community. We invest in our patients. We hire new clinicians. We hire new staff. So we're able to make investments back into our community, into the people that we're serving by making more money. Now, the way we've done this is by actually not charging more, which is what most people might be thinking, oh, you're just ripping people off, but we actually have one of the most affordable functional medicine programs in the entire world, as far as I'm aware of, and our core value is to spend the patient's money the way we would want our money spent.
Hey folks, it's Mike Malto here. Thanks for tuning in. We're live with my friend Dr. Sachin Patel, and we're going to talk about ways that you can build your functional medicine business in your practice. So he's going to share some of the insights and things that he's learned through 5+ years of being a really premier functional medicine practitioner here in Mississauga, Canada. So Dr. Patel, I think a good launching place is just sharing your message, and one thing that you really do with your clients, your patients, I should say, is you empower them to live a more fulfilling life and to really, kind of take their life goal and their message, to the next level. And so let's kind of talk about where does that stem from, what motivates you to empower people to do great things for this world?
Well, I think we're all put on this planet to make a difference, and the difference that I want to make is in people's lives so that they can live their best lives and therefore have much healthier and better communities, contribute to society in a more positive way. I think we've reduced health to diseases and dysfunction, but health is the enabler, the greatest enabler for us to live out our best lives and contribute into society and do the work we're put on this planet to do. And we forget about that, and that never really is discussed in medicine. So one of the things that we know about every single patient is not what their health goals are, but what they want to use those health goals to do. What is the why behind making these dietary changes, lifestyle changes, relationship changes? Why invest in yourself if it doesn't produce a different result than what you've created at this point in your life? So our goal is to always figure out why, attach all the reasons and rations and everything that they're going to invest in this endeavor to that goal. And so for a lot of people, that's a question they've never really asked themselves. So it's really interesting when you start interviewing people and you start asking, why do you want to be healthy? Most people have no idea. And that's really, for us, the first place to start. What kind of impact is my work going to have on you, and what kind of impact are you going to have on your community? That's what we want to know. If you're going to sit on the couch for the rest of your life with perfect numbers on your labs, that really doesn't do anything. That doesn't excite me enough to even work with a patient. So I'm really interested in why people want to do the things that we want them to do, what it's going to result in for themselves, their family, and their community.
And it's kind of a bi-directional system in a sense, you need to feel good to do well in this world. And then, and to do well, you want to feel good, you know what I mean? So that you're performing your best. So it really kind of is self-reinforcing. You were talking about if someone doesn't have that why in the back of their mind, I want to be healthy so I can be alive for my grandchildren, or to invent this product or keep this business going, or market, do whatever it may be, and they all of a sudden feel really healthy. You were saying what are they going to do with this newfound energy, right?
It's like, if my son, he's 6 right now, but if he wanted to buy a car, the first thing I'd want to know is, where is he going to drive it? Right? Where is he going to take this vehicle? And our health is essentially the vehicle that gets us to whatever destination we want to go to. And the way I look at health is that it's not only the foundation of your life, but it's the ceiling for your life as well. So your level of health, let's say somebody's health is a 6 out of 10, well, their finances can't be a 7, their relationships can't be a 7, right? It's going to cap out at 6. And the cool thing about health is that as we raise our level of health, the opportunities in our lives, the abilities in our lives, and the things that we can accomplish don't grow linearly. So an 8 isn't just 25% or 33% better than a 6. It's usually exponentially better. And so it's amazing what can happen when we make small incremental changes in our health, and the amplitude and the magnification that carries forward. So really, health is the ceiling and the foundation. And when people understand that, then they start to realize that this is really my most important asset. It's literally my wealth.
Yeah, big point. One of the things that we were talking about offline is kind of how you do some things is how you do everything. So do you find that once people really take their health to the next level and start making these small little lifestyle changes, whether it's diet, how they handle relationships, the self-talk, how they talk to themselves, does that tend to then ricochet into their business, their personal life, their relationships, and everything else?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that we work, one of the demographics we work with are entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are a unique, personality. They have unique personalities, unique needs, nutritional needs. They push their bodies in a slightly different way. So with entrepreneurs, it's a great way to test what we do, and because these people are very driven, they have a lot of passion. And so when they realize, a lot of entrepreneurs, in fact, will burn themselves out, right? And then they'll come to us because now they're not performing the way they want to. So these people know, because they're living a very, very quantified life where everything's being measured. So they know when they're tired, their performance decreases. Athletes are the same way, right? So there's people that are very in tune with their body, in tune with numbers and metrics and performance, where their health really, really matters. How creative I am is a function of how healthy I am, right? How well I manage stress is going to be a function of the productivity that I have and what I focus on and my relationships and how I keep relationships with vendors, how quickly I return emails. All these things are a function of our health and our ability to focus and concentrate and have balanced blood sugar and all the things that we want our functional patients to experience.
It's interesting that you bring that up, and I haven't really thought about that, but this empathy and social, emotional intelligence is really coming to forefront in business and relationships. And you mentioned how you respond to vendor emails and how you respond to client and customer service and stuff. And we all deal with companies that are really kind of jumpy and snarky and stuff. And so if you're more spiritually aware and have more mindfulness and compassion and better blood sugar balance and you're getting sleep, you're going to be a better person to do business with,
right.
Whether you're a healthcare practitioner or an entrepreneur or customer service agent, whatever. So I really like that approach because, in your program, you take practitioners through what you do in your clinical practice. And really, I don't want to knock practitioners, but there's a lot of unhealthy practitioners out there. And I think the key thing that makes you really successful is you walk the walk. You're not just out there talking in a mouthpiece saying, do all this stuff, but don't do as I say, not as I do, right?
Right.
So talk to us about some of the clients that you've walked through your program, the practitioners that is, how they have a newfound awareness and new state of well-being and how that can kind of translate into their business.
Yeah, and just kind of going back to our original point, the level of success a practitioner will have running their business is going to be a function of how well they take care of themselves and their health. So because they set the ceiling, they set essentially the bar, we want to make sure that we raise that bar. We want to help them find their blind spots. We want to have them experience good energy. We want them to experience a good stable mood, good sleep, good recovery. Because listen, doing what we do as functional medicine practitioners beats the crap out of you, right? It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of focus, it takes a lot of determination, and we carry on a lot of that energy that people bring into our offices. So we have to be a beacon of health for these individuals, and we can't tell them to do things we're not doing ourselves, right? And that's why our practice is called the Living Proof Institute, not the I read about it in a book institute, right? So you can't tell someone to do something you yourself aren't doing. We want our practitioners to be successful. They're going to have to put in hours. They're going to have to be able to be focused, and they're going to have to lead by example for their communities. And so by them going through the program, not only do they understand the value of what they're offering into their communities, but most doctors don't have a doctor. Right? They either haven't been tested or they haven't been interviewed correctly to find out what testing is necessary. Most of us doctor ourselves, right? And I know I'm guilty of that, and I wasn't always the healthiest doctor, not by choice, but because I just didn't know. I didn't know I had gluten sensitivity. I didn't know I had a lot of oxidative stress. I didn't know I had yeast overgrowth until I did the right testing, right? So many practitioners, especially those that are new to functional medicine, they don't know where to start, right? And they don't know who to call, right, in terms of helping them get healthy again. And a lot of times with our egos, we're afraid of asking people, right? We don't want to seem ignorant or misinformed. So calling a practitioner takes a lot of courage, right, to say, hey, I need help. So by enforcing this and making this part of our program, it's become a pivotal part in helping people realize their fullest potential and therefore help their business realize its fullest potential.
What's really unique about that, Dr. Patel, is what I've found in the last, 10 years of working with functional medicine practitioners. The main reason why practitioners seek out institutes like the Institute for Functional Medicine and A4M is to figure out their own health first.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going there because they, how Amy Myers always said, like, traditional medicine failed me. And so traditional medicine has failed a lot of practitioners, so they go to IFM, they learn it, and they become so passionate about it, they want to share that message with their patients and make sure that their patients don't come up with the same issues. So, but one thing that I found through working with practitioners is mindset issues. And so they have preconceived notions about what their impact in the world, who they can, or about money. I notice this a lot, that they don't want to charge too much because they're worried about becoming too expensive or ripping people off. So they give away their services and they can't go to seminars, they can't take vacation, they can't hire new doctors. And I think that's really what sets you apart, is you're adding a lot of value. And so there's a fee to be, charged for that, right? Appropriate fee. So let's talk about some of the mindset tips that you share with people.
Sure. So mindset is really the first place to start. Even with your patients, you're going to start with mindset. And it took a certain mindset to fill out the form and come in and recognize they need help. So even the practitioners watching this, it's going to take a certain person kind of putting their ego aside and saying, hey, I need help, or I want to live my best life, and here's how I can do it, and here's how I can help other people live my best life. So in terms of mindset, we actually have a mindset coach for all of our practitioners because we know that that's the ultimate ceiling, right? What you think about yourself, your self-image is going to determine who you hang out with, what you eat, the practitioners that you see, the investments that you make, all that's going to be determined essentially by your self-worth. So a good book I recommend is called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. That's what all the modern day, essentially personal development is based off of his work. And we start by coaching our practitioners, understanding what their subconscious programming might be. Most of us have broken subconscious programming. I know I did until I reprogrammed it. And that happens between the age of 0 and 7. Most people, especially people that I work with, may have a broken concept of money, right? I would feel guilty too if all I wanted to do was make money, right? Of course I'd feel guilty because there's no purpose or passion attached to it. Making money should be a result. And we have to get comfortable with making money because it means we're doing more good work. And in the book, The Go-Giver, they talk about this, where the amount of money you make is going to be a function of the number of people that you help. So if you start making more money, you're just helping more people, right? And if you're making money, helping people, doing good for your community, there should be no guilt attached to it. In fact, you should feel guilty for not making money because you're not helping enough people, right? Yeah. And when you make more money, what ends up happening is you can give more. We have a scholarship that we give out. We send 3 kids through school every year. We donate money into our community. We invest in our patients. We hire new clinicians. We hire new staff. So we're able to make investments back into our community, into the people that we're serving by making more money. Now, the way we've done this is by actually not charging more, which is what most people might be thinking, oh, you're just ripping people off, but we actually have one of the most affordable functional medicine programs in the entire world, as far as I'm aware of, and our core value is to spend the patient's money the way we would want our money spent. So what we've done is we've created automations, we've created dialed-in marketing, so we have a lot of built-in efficiencies, which allows us to then pass the savings on to the patient. So if we're running our business smoothly, and we're running our business with automations and systems and strategy, and we have really good marketing and we produce really good results, then we can charge less because the cost of doing business goes down significantly. And the nice thing about functional medicine is that you don't really need a lot of overhead to run a successful practice. And so the opportunity that functional medicine provides to not only serve your community, to serve your patients one-on-one if you choose to do that, to serve on social media if you choose to do that, is basically endless. And there's different opportunities for doctors to help people, and then therefore there's different opportunities for revenue streams for doctors as well. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. If all I want to do is make money and gouge people and rip them off, that's a problem.
Totally.
Right? But if you want to serve people and help people and realize that money is a result, then you're good. And one thing I was telling a few of my friends earlier is that, I for the first 5 years in business, I never looked at my bank account. Not once. It was actually June of this past year I looked at my numbers for the first time. And the reason for that was because my goal wasn't to make as much money as possible. My goal was to serve and to help as many people as possible, and the money would be a result. The results have been great when I did the numbers and checked, but it's not where we stop. Right? That's just one part of the currency that the universe pays me back in, right? I have amazing relationships, I have amazing friends. I tend to overcome obstacles very easily, or problems tend to solve themselves. That's the currency I'm interested in, right? Because I know people that have lots of money, but they're miserable, right? Because their relationships suck, or they don't have a good relationship with their son or their daughter or their spouse, or their employees hate working there, right? And those are things money can't buy, right? So I think that when we create a life worth living, we build a business around our life and around our core values, instead of building a life around our business.
Right.
And that's what most people end up doing, is they work so hard to build a business and make money, but then now they've sacrificed everything that actually creates a quality of life that they want to live. So we built our business with that intention. We built the practice around the patient. So how do we optimize the patient experience? How do we keep things affordable? How do we allow the doctor to earn a fair living and also contribute in other ways in his community or her community? And how do we do it so there's systems so that it eliminates a lot of the operational drag of running a business? Functional medicine doesn't work if the doctors are burnt out and they themselves aren't taking care of themselves, because all they're trying to do is make money and run their business. So by having efficiencies, it's a win-win-win. The community wins, the doctors win, the staff at the doctor's office wins, and more importantly, the patient wins as well.
Yeah, it's really important, like, just to kind of summarize what you're saying here, and just kind of tie in some of the things that I've seen with working with practitioners in Chicago, Denver, Seattle, now Toronto, Vancouver, everywhere. I can feel the energy right when I go into a practice. Like, okay, high overhead, big opulent windows and all that. It's like, this is going to be expensive. And a lot of people think that, I need to get a nicer clinic, nicer furniture, more all this stuff, and that's going to bring in all the patients. But it's not really, like you said, it starts here. And it starts with, like you said, like, what am I going to do with those funds? That the more revenue that I make, or more patients that I bring in, am I going to go buy a Ferrari or go take more beach vacations, or am I going to do what you do, like hire more practitioners, like go to seminars, like really work on thyself so that you can serve better? So I think that's where the mindset comes in, because it really ties into the money aspect, and then your ability to get your message out there and help more people. So I think, again, just to reinforce, the mindset is so important.
It's really interesting that you say that, because the thing with money is that there's an abundant amount of it. It might just be in the wrong bank account, right? But it's just abundant, right? So when we have a scarcity mindset, we create scarcity not just in one area of our life, but we create it in every area of your life, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So if you have a scarcity of money, you're gonna have a scarcity of love, you're gonna have a scarcity of every other aspect of life. And so the first shift that needs to take place is the abundance mindset, and realizing that if you do good work, the money has to find you, right? But don't just do good work for money, right? Look at your relationships, look at, how well do you sleep at night, how much time do you get to spend with your family? Look at the things that money can't buy, right? So I always say that, and there's a sign right there on my wall that says, making money shouldn't cost you the things money can't buy, right? Because after a certain amount, you can't spend anymore, unless you're spending it on stupid stuff that you don't need, right? And one of the things that I learned a few years ago is that, if you simplify your life, then amplify your life, it's so much easier. But most people amplify their life. So they graduate, or they become somewhat successful, and they buy a bigger house, right? And they buy a bigger car, and they just have more debt. And you can't amplify that, because you can't keep buying more and more cars, right? But what I like is, and what's a fun game is, you can simplify life and try to live with a small footprint, carbon footprint, and environmental footprint as possible. And that's the funnest game I've ever played, because you realize how little you need to be happy. And what I've been able to do over the last few years is, because I really simplified my life, I don't have a budget, right? Because I only buy what I need, right? That's my budget. If you don't need it, don't buy it, right? Plain and simple. And we've been able to really dial in, simplify our lives, focus on our business, never have to worry about financial constraints, right? And not because we're filthy rich, but it's because we live a simple life. And that life has brought me so much more happiness than the life I used to live, which is big house, nice car, you gotta buy all these things. And it's funny because, we all have nice watches, I'm sure, but I've got a few nice watches, I don't even wear them anymore, because the time is now. Right?
That's a good point.
And my life has improved so much more. Of course, you got to be on time, but my life has improved so much more by not paying so much attention to that, right? And focusing on the now. And it's just been a complete radical transformation for me. And the people that kind of go through this, it's a really an amazing awakening that they go through. And there's where you'll find your purpose, because nobody's purpose is to make tons and tons of money, right? Their purpose is to serve their community, to serve humanity, or to help people in whatever, and give away whatever gift they have, and the money will be a result of that.
Yeah, that's really, really huge. And speaking of gifts, I mean, one thing that I've been trying to teach practitioners about is we're all gifted in a unique way and have a unique message or unique strong suit, that we're really passionate about. And I think if you don't act on that gift and get it out to the world via Facebook and social media and in your clinical practice, then the gifts will stop coming to you, right? And so I think it's really important to capitalize on that and take advantage of that. Like if you're skilled in one area, you need to let the world know about that and don't be shy. So let's kind of talk a little bit about some of the social media tips and training and things that you've learned, because you've been really vocal about. I mean, it's in a great way. I mean, I love your brilliant posts. I mean, they're so creative and on point. You're where did you come up with that? It's amazing. So, and that aspect has not only probably made your life more congruent, because I find that when I do more social media stuff, I decide, okay, those garlic fries, even though they're sweet potatoes, they're still advanced glycation end products and all that. So there's something about being involved in social media that makes your life better. But talk about some of the tips in your program that you offer, because I know a lot of practitioners are like, Facebook, isn't that what my granddaughter uses? They're scared of it, but you make it easy for them.
I think the biggest thing is finding your voice, right? And being authentic to yourself. And you don't want to be that person that's completely different when people see you in person than you are online. And I think with me, there's really no filter. So you get the authentic me when you see me online. So I think that's the first thing, because your message comes across so much more clear. It reverberates in every other area of your life, and you're not living a lie.
Yeah. Right.
So that's the other important thing, is that you're living in congruence and authentic. So that's important. And the other thing is, people are afraid of what people are going to think of them. Mm-hmm. And what I always remind doctors, if you're doing this from a business perspective, it's okay for people to not like your message. Yeah. Right? Because they're never going to do business with you anyways. Right. So if you change your message, or you keep that message so it pleases just a small group of people, and it doesn't polarize anyone, then no one's going to know what you stand for, no one's going to know what you stand against, and the first time they get to meet the real you is in your office. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's the worst time they should get to know you. In this day and age, people should have a sense of who you are, what you stand for, what you stand against, what you represent, so that when they come in, there's really no mask that you have to peel off or put on. You're just yourself. And a lot of people when they come in to us, they're like, oh my God, I feel like I know you. Yeah. Right? And they do, because they get to see the authentic me online. So I think authenticity is important. I think consistency is very important. This is where a lot of doctors fail. They might do a video here and there, and they might get some traction, or they might not get traction, and then they just kind of give up. And they're referencing people who might have tens of thousands of views or hundreds of thousands of views, and they're like, oh my God, I'm never going to get there. Mm-hmm. But it's that consistency over time that really draws in the audience, and people who are polarized with your message and congruent with your message, and then you start really building. So it took me 5 years to get there, right? And I've been very consistent over the last few years, and even more consistent recently, because once you gain momentum, then it becomes a little addictive, right?
Yeah, you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, you don't want to lose it, and now it's awesome, because I'll go to conferences and people will come up to me. I still remember when Ben Lynch came up to me, and he was so excited to meet me, and I was like, dude, I'm fangirling you right now, and you're happy to meet me, because he felt like he knew me, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, Ben, and me, you and Ben would probably get along really well, because we have a lot of the same core values. Right. And I think the other thing too is getting those core values across when you're on social media, or just even in general when you're hanging out with people. You should hang out with people that have the same core values, and people should know what your core values are. And because people only get a glimpse of our lives on Facebook, I think you should make it a point to demonstrate what your core values are on a consistent basis, because the people who have the same core values as you are the ones that are going to do business with you. Yeah. Right? And we don't sell anything. Our program isn't about selling you a service or selling you a product. It's something that our clients want. It's something that they're looking for. They understand what we bring to the table. We understand that they've been indoctrinated through this process and through this training and education and pre-framing, so the people that come into our office are ready to go, right? And that's what social media can do for you, is it can really prepare your audience for who you are, what they should expect, and what they see is what they get.
Well, Dr. Patel, it's really interesting that you bring up all these aspects of how people, just in general, people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And that's the whole point of social media. It's you want to vet if you're going to go to a new gym or a new resort, if you're on vacation with your family, or a new school, you want to kind of check it out and vet it for yourself to see if it fits, like you said, your core values. And that's why I think it's imperative for practitioners, particularly, because functional medicine, even though it's becoming a big thing, it's still not like a kitchen table topic for every family throughout North America. So, they're a little bit skeptical. They've been to like a naturopathic doctor that got a degree on the internet, and so they didn't get the right therapies, because there's a lot of like, people that don't have credentials in this alternative medicine space. So again, just to validate the importance of getting yourself out there and being congruent, being authentic, like you're saying, and realizing that the person with 1 million views, they started out with 0 views at one point. Whether it's Dr. Mark Hyman or Sarah Gottfried, you name any big person, Dave Asprey, they all started at some place. And so it's just that grit and tenacity and being consistent, like you're saying. So let's kind of finish off. So we talked a little bit about mindset, a little bit about wrapping your head around money, that it's not the evil, and we need money to get our message out there. We talked about the importance of establishing authority and a presence and being able to have patients know, like, and trust you through social media, which, if you're not following Dr. Patel on Facebook, definitely do so. And any last tidbits you want to share about the program? We'll have the links below this video about how folks can learn more about it.
Sure. I think the thing that makes the program really unique is we take the client or the doctor through the program themselves.
Yeah.
We also give them all the tools, all the forms, everything they need to become successful. We give them everything that we have. So they have access to our workshops that we host, how to host these workshops, training on how to run the workshops. They get basically a play-by-play of how to set things up like automations. They get access to all of our automations. So all the systems that we've built to make our practice very affordable but also very profitable is built into this training program. We take the doctor through it so they understand the value of what they're offering their community. They also get a chance to show their test results. So when their patients start coming in, they can show the value and the perceived value from their perspective, because here's my test results, right? I believe in this so much that I got tested or my family got tested. And so by them going through it, it allows them to build value and understand the impact that they can have not only on their lives, but on their community's lives as well. We provide all the clinical training that they need to become successful as well, and by providing them with all the marketing materials that they need to promote their workshops, to promote some events that they might be hosting, we also give them an unfair advantage because we split test everything. We've got this process pretty dialed in, and we hire professionals to help us dial it in. And now as a collective, we can get all the best practices in one place. Mm-hmm. So practitioners basically have all the tools they need to become personally successful, to communicate better, to get their message across more effectively, to market better, and they also have the business systems necessary to become successful as well. And we've made this extremely affordable. So for the cost of less than 3 to 4 new patients, you've essentially got a really a 7-figure model to run your business, and you can apply this in your community and scale it as much as you want. So we've kind of taken everything that we've learned and put it into this program for doctors, and we really haven't held anything back. And the cool thing about this is we continue to grow. So the program itself continues to grow, and as the demand for functional medicine continues, we have a wave of patients that are going to crash on this shore pretty soon, and no doctors to help, right? So the biggest problem we have right now in functional medicine, and why we're doing this program, I don't have to do this program, but the reason we're doing this is because we recognize that the problem right now isn't a lack of patients. That's the problem. The problem is we have way too many patients. The problem is we don't have enough doctors. Right. And so just recently I was asked on behalf of the Saudi Arabian government, what would you do with $250 million? And my answer wasn't marketing. My answer was training, right? We need doctors that are vetted for their clinical skills, that are vetted for their ethical practices. And we need to know that if we put these powerful tools in their hands, that they're going to serve their community the same way we serve our community, with compassion, with empathy, and with courage, and also with a deep knowing that these people can get well under our guidance. And so that's who we're looking for. The worst qualification for patients and doctors that work with us is a credit card, right? Right. The best qualification is a right heart in the right place with the right intention, and abundance usually follows those people. Yeah. And so that's who we're looking for as practitioners, people who are genuine, authentic, who want to make an impact, make a difference, are open to learn, and are willing themselves to go through the process.
Yeah, really important point. And then just to highlight or reinforce the abundance mentality, I see this a lot with practitioners is they're like, oh, I'm not going to refer to that person because they didn't refer back to me, or I'm not going to go to this workshop because that other doctor goes there and he does all the hormone stuff and I'm supposed to be the guru. And so this scarcity mentality, and then like you said, it translates or kind of infuses into your business and your message and the subtle energy that you're putting out there. And I love that's your core value is like, just have an abundance mindset. Like you said, there's not a shortage of patients. I mean, just go to any airport or supermarket or grocery store that's not a Whole Foods, and you're going to see them. They're there, right? And they need help, and so that's really what you're about.
If somebody, just to finish off your point, if somebody thinks there's a shortage of patients, that if there's a shortage of sick people, right, then they don't understand the problem. They have no business being in this space, because there is a scarcity of doctors, there's an abundance of patients that need good, high-quality doctors, and even if every single practitioner overnight became a functional medicine practitioner, we'd still have a shortage. Right? We have lots of doctors that aren't helping people or are trying their best to help people, but they're not producing a health outcome. Right? They might be managing a condition or a disease through medications or through multiple surgeries, but are people actually getting healthier? And the answer is no. So if every single medical doctor, every single chiropractor, every single naturopath became a functional medicine practitioner, we would still have a shortage, right? And then once the messaging gets dialed in, right, if Warren Buffett writes a check then for $10 million and we get a Super Bowl ad for functional medicine, we've got to be ready for all those patients, right? And right now, the system, the infrastructure isn't ready to handle all the disease. I mean, even the infrastructure we've been building for the last 50 years, hospitals and doctors' offices, they're not ready for the wave that's going to crash ashore right now, right? They have shortages, and they've been building this infrastructure forever. So for us to think there's a shortage of sick people, it's just a mindset.
Yeah.
It's not the reality.
Right. I want to reinforce another point that we didn't really talk about, and there's a lot of programs out there. I mean, you can find Facebook marketing, you can find video marketing, you can find, it doesn't matter, Twitter, I mean, you name it. You have practice building, like in the functional medicine space, there's a lot of different practice coaching. We're talking about some of them, and their message is sometimes incongruent, right? And they have like these, wrap you into a 3-year deal. But what's unique about what you're doing is you're sharing with not holding back, because a lot of people hold back and save that for the VIP mastermind coaching program, but you're saying, hey, this is what we're doing. We've tested it multiple times, and just, you mentioned a split test, so that's comparing one ad versus the other, and then once one wins, then you again constantly improve. And so you're sharing vetted information, because I see a lot of doctors now doing advertisements online. I'm like, oh my gosh, what were they thinking when they wrote this ad? Because it's not getting organic reach and all that. So I like that you're sharing that. But the important point is to reinforce again is that you also have multiple practitioners under you, and I think that comes back to the mentality of abundance. I know a lot of practitioners realize that they need help. They're like, well, I don't want to bring someone in because they're like going to steal my patients and then walk away, and then I'm going to have to non-compete. And you're like, no, look, just create a cool environment with enough momentum and good vibes that we can get good people here and then keep growing and growing the business that way. So I think that's another unique attribute of your program that's totally different from what's out there.
Yeah, I think some practice management groups might have a heart attack or spit their coffee out when they hear this, but I have no contracts.
Wow.
So we hire very specific people, very specific personalities, very specific DISC scores and Colby scores. So when we bring a practitioner on, we know that person is going to stick around, not for my sake, but really for our patient's sake, right? And we hire people who are loyal, who are dedicated, who don't necessarily love all the aspects of running a business, because it takes a lot of work.
Yeah. And
they're people who want to be the awesome, impeccable clinician, right? And you can't be amazing at everything, right? And despite the fact that I think I'm a good clinician, you can't be the best at every area in your business. So you have to pick what your genius is and focus on that. And the nice thing about our practice is because our clinicians are clinicians, they're not, their bandwidth isn't spread thin, and they're not, doing marketing and all these other things to generate business, because all of that stuff happens with our systems. So we've kind of set up our business where our clinicians, their genius is being a clinician. That's all they do, right? And the other thing too, I think that we talk about this in the course, is how to hire, right? There's different personality types, and certain personality types are those people that will steal all your information and leave.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to be able to recognize that very early on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Those people just don't make good employees. They make great entrepreneurs, right? Like myself, like you would never hire me.
Right.
Like I'm the worst employee, right? So I'm just giving you fair warning. I'm the worst employee because I do things my way. I hack the system. I make things work better if I can. I don't follow old hat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good at innovating and coming up with strategy, but I'm horrible at following instructions.
Yeah.
Right? So you would never hire me as an employee. In fact, every job I've ever worked at, I've always gotten a promotion, and then I usually leave because it's not what I want to do with my life. I just hack it so that I make systems work better. And so I think that's something that we've been very successful at because we have an amazing team of practitioners, and even the rest of our staff is very aligned with our core values. That's where it starts, is do you align with these core values? Because if all you align with is the paycheck, then I'm not interested, right? I'd rather give that paycheck to someone who's aligned with the core values, because then the consequence of that, or the benefit of that to them eventually, is that paycheck gets bigger, right? But if you're misaligned, your core values aren't the same as ours, then that paycheck is going to stay the same, right? Because you're never going to grow. Why would you grow into something you have no desire in?
Yeah, really important point. But again, it kind of reinforces everything we talked about here, because to attract those people, you have to put yourself out there in a very authentic, congruent way, consistently, so that you have credibility and that you get your message, it spreads to enough people that people are like, you know what, I like Dr. Patel, I like what he's doing, I want to work with him, I want to be part of this movement. So really amazing stuff. So I'm excited for this program.
Thank you.
We'll have the link below this video if you guys are interested in checking it out. And before we part ways, any final words that we didn't get to talk about that you want to bring up?
No, I think you've covered a lot of amazing things, and I appreciate your time, I appreciate your energy, and you're doing some amazing work. I'm excited to see some of the stuff that you're putting out, and I know we talked about this, so I won't let the cat out of the bag, but you've got some cool things coming out. So I'll make sure my practitioners keep an eye on that and just keep doing the amazing work that you're doing.
Awesome. Dr. Patel, really appreciate it.
Thank
you.
you.